Hello, everyone. You get the real deal here. Not even really combed, but it's hair. Here it is, December 22nd, 2022. Lots of twos in there, isn't there? Just wanted to do an update. It's been a rough week, to say the least. Last week, I was in San Ynez for the week, which was heaven. Taking care of my friend Melanie and Chris's dogs and animals, and just being in San Ynez, which of course is my heavenly place, as it was Mrs. Heavenly Place for so long too. But as you know, I've told you this journey is ups and downs. And this week has been rough. rough. I ended up in the hospital the other night. But let's go back to Monday. I had posted on Facebook that I had to get a PT scan, PET scan. PET scan is more in depth than just a CT scan, so they wanted to do a PET scan because in the last month I've been feeling my abdomen always, obviously since my surgeries, never feels like normal, but there's a norm that I've grown accustomed to that still has numbness and weirdness, but this in the last month was uncomfortable. Distension. I felt like there was fluid in there, and my numbers were going up again, which is why they ordered the PET scan, and I am scheduled to see a gynecological cancer specialist, Dr. Godfrey Konechny at UCLA next Wednesday. I was actually supposed to see him today, but he had a family emergency. So anyway, he was a recommendation. I've seen him before, a recommendation for my oncologist at St. John's, Dr. Fisher. Dr. Fisher is a general oncologist, and he's very knowledgeable, but he knows where his, scope is, and so he actually has encouraged me to reach out to Dr. Konechny, so we will next Wednesday. And I had reached out to him a couple weeks ago in an email, and Dr. Konechny wrote back, he's like, you have good options. So anyway, in the meantime, so on Monday I got the PET scan, and then I got chemo on that day. And I got my normal Abraxane, which I have been getting since July, which has worked well. Brought my numbers down, my cancer marker from 6,000 down to 300 in mid-September. And I was feeling really good. Normal is 35 and below, so still a ways to go. But then my numbers started to level off, and then in November it went up to 500, and I got it last week, and last week it went to 1,500 again. So I got it again this week. I didn't even want to look. But the PET scan confirmed that I've got, recurrence growing again in my pelvis. And so I knew it. I could feel it. I'm tuned into my body, and these cancer cells, they mutate. That's why chemo can work for a while, and then sometimes it, can change and it's not as effective. I'll use an analogy, because I always do, especially with exercise, that, if you do the same thing over and over and over again, it's not that it's not effective, But the body gets used to it, and that's why you have to cross train. That's why you have to do different things to keep stimulating it in different ways. And so, little cancer cells are kind of smart that way too. They kind of get used to and they adapt. And so the chemo doesn't become that as effective. So my naturopathic oncologist, Dr. Heidi Lucas, who's just been my godsend, she was the one who said, throw in the carboplatinum on this next one until we find out from Dr. Konechny what he would suggest. And the carboplatinum is this first chemo that I used 2 years ago, and it worked well. It got my numbers down to normal after 6 cycles. So it's powerful, but they didn't want to do it again. Just, I was in, remission for 2021. And when my numbers started to rise again in the fall, I finished that in March of 21, sorry. And then when my numbers started to rise again, they wanted to use a different chemo just to change it up. But anyway, we know this year's been hospital in last January, with my stint that they had to put in. And then I went on Gemzar, a certain kind of chemo, which brought it down. And in May, I had to get the stint pulled because that was causing problems. And in June, I had that surgery, and where they had to take my colon and give me an ostomy bag. Little Winnie the Poopster here, who saved my life, basically. So I'm very grateful to her. It's been an adjustment, but, as long as I feel relatively normal, we're human beings. I think our key to surviving in anything in life is our adaptability. How willing are we to change our ideas, change our thoughts, change our ways of being? Life is change, so we just have to keep changing and rolling with it. And, I was depressed, I was sad, I grieved when I woke up with an ostomy bag. I mean, it's not what you want to wake up to. But I soon learned that, I could pretty much do anything active, be my active self. I'm on ostomy group support groups on Facebook, and, a lot of athletes who have been athletes are still athletes, so it's okay. Again, adaptability. We got to be able to pivot and change. And, animals are so adaptable. They just roll with it. I think of Miss, when she was getting older. When she was in her robust years, she was strong and powerful. And like I've said before, we run up hills like it was nothing. And when she started to get older in her 20s, and she started to get a little hip issue, and then she started to get arthritis, she slowed down. We couldn't do that kind of running anymore. It was still in her spirit, though, when she wanted to. And I'll never forget, even with arthritis, she'd let me know when we'd go for a little ride. Nothing strenuous, maybe 20 minutes. And it never ceased to amaze me how all of a sudden she was prancing. You would never know she had arthritis. She just amazed me, and I observed her. She's my greatest teacher. And part of the lessons that I learned from her was watching her gracefully age and accept what life was giving her. And I never, ever, ever, ever saw her disposition change. Even when she was, had to be careful where she put her foot, her posture, she had to be careful of holes, and she was cautious, but never, she was more tired. She'd nap. She loved to nap during the day, but she just accepted it. And I just was like, wow. The only time I knew that she really wasn't feeling well is when it was time to put her down. That's when she told me, I think I'm done. And she just let go. She willingly walked to the place where we put her down. She hadn't really walked in days in her corral. But when the vet arrived and we had the gathering of all our neighbors and everything, there were 15 of us there, she willingly walked out of her corral slowly to the place where we were going to lay her down. So there's just so much to be learned from animals. And for her, I just was like, wow, that kind of grace. So I learned a lot from her but it's about accepting what life is throwing us now. And I know for myself, of course, our human selves. And I'm the same way. I'm in that human place where it's like fear, doubt. But I know that so much of our suffering is our mind and where we put it. And when we become rigid and aren't able to move with it, we just make it worse for ourselves all the time. You know, things don't work out the way we want it, and we want to control it, and we want this and that. And, oh, it's not perfect, and this and that. Life isn't perfect. Life is actually perfect in its imperfections. And that's always been my motto, you know, find the perfection in the imperfection. That was even before cancer. So it's really, I mean, this journey is really just about where do we put our mind? I've been talking about that, and how adaptable we are, and how resilient are we with change. And the quicker we can move with change, the more peace we feel in ourselves. So anyway, back to the reality of, you know, that cancer adapting. So we used a new chemo, well, not the old one, carboplatin, that I'd used 2 years ago with the Abraxane. And I made the mistake, because with the Abraxane, you don't need a steroid with it. It's fairly mild. But with the carboplatin, I remember they gave me a steroid with it, and then they had me take steroids 2 days after. So when they asked me on Monday, when they were going to give me the carboplatin, if I wanted the steroid, I admit that I really wasn't thinking. And I didn't know. And I thought, well, gosh, I've been handling everything pretty, like chemo has not been a problem for me really, other than hair loss. But I mean, I've never really gotten sick, you know, and of course I'm doing a ton of things: acupuncture, energy medicine, nutrition, supplementation, meditation, exercise. All of that helps. Yeah, all of it has been proven to help with side effects with chemo. So I just kind of felt like I was, yeah, I'll be fine. Whoa, that was a mistake in the biggest way. That day, Monday afternoon, my head felt like it was in cement, and I was so fatigued and so tired. I was like, wow, could it really be this carboplatin? And the next day, Tuesday, still felt like I was head in a vice cloud, disconnected from my body. And I had an energy medicine session with Camille, which is always so helpful. She's 45 minutes away, so Gigi took me, thank God. And it was good on her table, it always is. But when I came home, I just started getting really nauseous, like really nauseous, in addition to being hit by a truck. I threw up. You know, didn't want to get into the same situation of major dehydration like I did a month ago, and had to go to the ER for fluids. So Stacy suggested that we go to the ER just to get hydrated, you know, and I ended up staying there. Because they did another scan, because they have to, and it showed like there might be a minor bowel obstruction, which they were concerned about, although they also think that the whole thing was because of the chemo, but they wanted to make sure. So I ended up spending the night in the ER room, And poor Stacy, she sat in the chair. I said, you can go home. Gigi and Stacy are my roommates and caretakers, and they're just the best angels ever. And of course, all of my other angels, you know, Jen, Aaron, Mom, Dad, everybody, you guys, all of you, your words on Facebook, your support through GoFundMe, everything, I can't tell you. You're all my angels, okay? I want to reach out to Michelle Ortez, and she's just been my little angel that popped out of the sky, and my monk therapist, and all of my therapists. So, you know, it's the season to just, all the gifts. But yeah, I ended up in the ER, and then I was in the hospital yesterday. And I was feeling fine. The nausea went away on Tuesday night already in the ER, but they wanted to keep me and just keep an eye on me. And so I was there yesterday, and it felt weird to be there because, you know, when I've been there in the past, I've been really, really sick, major surgeries or whatever. But this time I wasn't really. They were just, so going for walks in the hallways, I didn't have like pushing IV fluid tubes and things hanging from me, bags hanging from me. I mean, it was just me. So it kind of felt weird. But yeah, when they gave me the option last night, do you want to go home or do you want to stay one more night? I'm like, I'm going to go home. It's always best to be in your own bed. And I came home, and because I had been laying around, I walked a little bit in the hospital. I got on my spinning bike and just did 30 minutes, just nothing high intensity at all, just for circulation. Movement equals life. Just needed circulation. Just to flush the system, to get toxins out, to get oxygen to the brain and everything, to all the tissues. That's healing. But they had given me a steroid before I left, and they said, you know, I hope this doesn't hinder your ability to sleep tonight, because usually steroids can make you buzzing and you want to wash the windows at 3 in the morning. In the past, when I've had it, I like doing weights at 3 in the morning, lifting weights. But I was so mentally and emotionally and physically exhausted that I was leaving a message for my friend Jen. It was a Marco message, which is a video message. I literally said, I am so tired, and the phone dropped, and it ended up recording a message for 4 hours, staring at my little stuffed unicorn on my bed. I woke up at 1:30. That was at 9:20. I woke up at 1:30 to go to the bathroom. And my lights were on, and I noticed that my phone was still on. I was out. So I got up to go to the bathroom, came back, and went out again, and woke up at 7:30 this morning, and I feel so much better. Oh, God. You know, and I was telling Stacy last night, I said, you know, the emotional and mental and physical ups and downs of this journey is just like, I get why people give up. I do. I've said this before. You know, and I'm envious. I'm envious, you know. I know some of my friends who've gone through cancer, and they went through treatment, and they're fine. And, you know, different types of cancer. Ovarian is a tough one. And I'm not giving it more power, but I'm going to get through it. Because my deep faith, I know this is serving a higher purpose for me and for many, and I know God is using me through it. But, you know, I have the human part of it that can get me down, you know. And last night I was just like,
when you're just not feeling well, it just is like hard to stay positive. And I let myself have my tears because I'm human. And I was saying how I envy, I look at my family and friends, and we all have our struggles, we do. But you're going about your lives, and and we never know when our time is. I mean, we just never know. We never know. So, but I just happen to have a condition that puts it in my face every day. And so I envy everybody who's just going about their lives, and where I feel like I have this cloud that's always there. Like I before cancer, I never, ever, ever doubted, like planning a trip or, oh yeah, we'll do that on that day or whatever. And just never had a question of whether I was going to make it or not, But dog sitting and planning trips, or, there's so many things I want to do, like I want to I'm always working in my mind. Like I want to put together this little program for 2023, of helping, like all of us coming together and helping each other and taking care of our bodies, our minds, our spirits. So I have this program in my mind that I want to create. And, but there's always kind of a thought of like, oh, am I going to end up at the hospital? Or, it's just like when it's happened so many times, it's hard not to be afraid. It's hard not to wonder. And I hate that because I want to keep focusing on, and I do. I just keep going. I keep going as if, because life is happening now. It's not waiting. And so, anyway, it's just I have my human self, and I have my strong faith in my spirit self. And like I said in my post on Monday, is the soul contained within the body, or is the body contained within the soul? And depending on how you see it, I believe the body's within the soul, which means that who I am is much bigger than what's just going on here. And that's what gets me through. And I will get through this. But trust me, I'll be getting the steroid next time. Get this form of chemo, which wouldn't be in 3 weeks, but we'll see what my next protocol is once we talk to Dr. Konechny. Anyway, I just want to wish you all a Merry Christmas if you celebrate Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate life. Well, let's just celebrate every moment we have. It's a gift. So every day that you wake up and you feel pretty good in your body, it's a good day. And I know my body is just, it's a warrior, and I'm so proud of my body. It has taken the hits, but it's also wanting me to heal. And it's just showing me the areas where I got out of balance, but there's also a higher picture here. So, all right. I love you all. Thank you for your love, your prayers, your support, your words. Okay. Life is good. Life is good. Life is God. Love you. Bye.